in the public space. You have to do it. It's live and we're here together. You could have been anywhere in the world, guys, but you are here. We thank you so much for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Right. I woke up to another set of these terrorist threats, revealing some seriously questionable mindsets. Convinced me I might have to grab a bulletproof vest before taking my next test. And to avoid those challenging jokes, no, not even in jest. They taught me not to speak too loud because it remains dangerous to protest. I should just be happily repressed under constant duress, thinking it's always best to express caution while the world outside is storming, while we're praying for a peaceful dawning, while we're baying for that one fine morning. To the sky I found myself calling. If I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, would it be my family this morning? Would it be my body in the casket laid? And would it prove worthy of adoring? If my blood was still gently pouring out and I was laying in the street, dead meat splayed out and my mouth open wide like I'm yawning, would that image succeed in being flooring enough? Would that portrait leave onlookers dumbstruck? Would it serve as a black boy's warning? Spelling out, I'm sorry the system wasn't built for you. Send your complaints to whoever's not ignoring truth. And if that injustice is still gnawing away, bottle up your righteous rage for a rainy day. You'll need it when vulgarities are thrown your way. Through the trials and pain, you feel what to say. And as these words are sealed neatly in another coffin, and as the last light draws in, I will think of the state of things, of biting winters and mirages of spring, and of sins. Peace to the dearly departed. I wrote this in Walthamstow, and there was a massive spike in the reporting of serious youth violence among kids. It was over-reported if you look at the actual violent crime rates among young people across the country. More cities are far more violent in London, but you hear about it for certain reasons. You hear about it because black people are grouped into a monolith in which we are demonized and made to fulfill a role of subservience and oppression within a system that does not want us to succeed. And it's a daily thing. We say Black Lives Matter. Okay, let's get the chant going before I get to the next, because I feel we need a bit of energy. It's been a bit of a rocky start. Right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Black Lives Matter. 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 Alright, cool. We say that because we need to remind ourselves that we live in a system where that is not demonstrably true. We live in a system which is still oppressing black people. We need to fight, we need to come together, we need to show unity. Unity. It's not about white and black, it's about racists and everyone else. It's about a system which has been oppressing everybody, whether you're white or black, brown, Asian, Mexican, Central Eastern, Middle Eastern, European, South. Everybody benefits from a world where racism is eradicated. That's the world we need to fight for. It's an internationalist struggle. Oppression anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. This piece is called Heavy Footsteps in Snow. I'm gonna drink some water, sorry. When you're shouting, you get parched. But it's all for a good cause. Really, like I do say, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here showing solidarity with black lives and black people. Thank you for being here. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, dude. It's a party around here. Fuck it, I'm gonna do a different beat. This is called The Faithful. Hallowed hall hums meets divine deep drum. A two-step in step to activate my funk tech, and I move like mech. It's an automaton phenomenon. There's a bunch of guest MCs, and they're his hip hop for I be on. They got a fan blade, rap pace, rhymes heavier than a Jeep, while we're vibing on these orchestral chimes and monitor bleeps. When we few are gathered here, it's a moment to keep. I believe that these public places will become reclaimed spaces where the best beat bangs and truth is spoken in the tightest of embraces, where hearts to hearts will pound in the rumble of bass. Escape is this place, is this state, is this beat, in these feet, syncopated and offbeat. These nights, these days, exalted are these songs. So bring your best schmaltz and we can waltz through the hi-hats and gongs. And as the beat goes on and hits me with a lurch, I sing to the faithful. This is our church, and this is where we heal our hurts. Thank you. Hey. Who's ever written a poem in your life? If it was for, like, you know, mate's wedding, private Tumblr accounts, that's me, you know, funerals, everything, right? Okay, so some of you will know the benefits that poetry can give to your life and give to your soul as a way to bear witness to yourself and realize that what you feel is fundamentally important to how you move through the world. And I feel that a lot of the time in the West, right here in the heart of empire, in front of the corpulent wealth, which was often built off, look at me qualifying. Well, look at me qualifying, look at me excusing the legacy, 500 years and more, of European colonialism and imperialism, extracting wealth from the African continent and around the world, murdering millions upon millions in a trade which was a central part of the economy that built this country. These paving slabs that we stand on are paid for with slaves' blood. What am I qualifying for? This piece is called For the Poets, and because writing poetry for me and listening to poetry has been a way of fighting. It's been a way of bearing witness to my truth and standing in that truth and letting other people share that truth. Because poetry, when it is shared, like any good art, when it is shared, brings people together. There is more that unites us than will ever divide us. So this is for the poets. For the fleeting moment capturers that enrapture us. This is written for the rhyme flingers and the word slingers, for the pens and microphones gripped between fingers, for the barrier breakers who showed anyone and everyone that this could be done, for those public communicators of your private struggles, and for the lives reborn from rubble. For poets just writing their way out of trouble. For every poem written that aids a resurrection or sparks an insurrection. For every poet out there challenging your conventions. For every witty epithet that doubles as reactionary couplet. And for all of the poets just surprised by the truth that they've created. And for the poets who make all of this look uncomplicated. For every secret journal kept hidden. Every instrumental or internal beat ridden. Every writer reaching for knowledge forgotten or forbidden, on every stage and page, graced with a verse that did not want, but in fact needed to be written. You see, I've written this for every seasoned sage or first timer, faced with whatever it means to be a writer. For every fabled poet telling fables. Every identity shunning easy labels, every poem in every language under Babel. For the poets who write for us when we are unable, and for the poets who write just to keep themselves stable. For the poets everywhere and the poetry that got them there, this is for the poets. Round of applause for the poets. Thank you. My next piece. Yeah, my next piece is the piece I was going to read earlier, but I got distracted and I got hyped and I wanted to give some energy. This piece is called Heavy Footsteps in Snow. And it's for the victims of police brutality in this country. We in the mainland of the British Empire, which is still an empire, if informally, if not formally. Neocolonialism never had a break with the history of oppression. It just freshened up. And police brutality, the history of the police force is intertwined in that. The Metropolitan Police was founded by a guy called Robert Peel. There's a statue of him opposite Liverpool Street Station. He is the founder of what we know as modern policing. Effectively, it was a civilian movement that was dressed up in lightened military garb and used as an oppressive force initially against the Irish during the occupation of Ireland by England and Britain. That history of colonial policing has not had a break. It has still been doing the same thing. It is what underpins the system of American policing, which leads to so many unnecessary public executions of black people. And it started here. Like so many things about British imperialism and colonialism, we exported that. We got it out of the mainland, so we didn't have to deal with it. We didn't have to look at it in the face. We didn't have to see the evil. And the part of what is so important about the Black Lives Movement and the history of anti-racist struggle is that it is a history. We have a history and we come from a lineage of fighting this and fighting this oppression. And many people die in the middle of this. This is a poem in memory of them. It's a madness out here. I can't tell if I'm crying from the chill. I see battle lines drawn across side streets. I see youths convinced they're dealing out justice. They're all step out of line and get beat. Step across road, keep your eyes on your feet. And I usually close them. But this time it was a December morning and I wanted to see the churchyard, it's ground all white with snow. And my face froze as I saw this man's nose get broke. Group of them cracked him like a bad joke with these bald fists gripping bats and bars, and another bully car passed. Driver just wielding his icy stare of disregard, thinking it's just some dead men and cries of boys who've already seen daddy's name in a graveyard. Damn. My words slipped out from under me. I was feeling unsafe. I saw these people killing for misplaced faith, fame, or saving face. They were wearing what looked like balaclavas as fighting armor. Some, maybe on the inside, were weeping with anger and terror, but I'll never know. I am confronted with this fear from behind pale skin peeking out from behind black cloth. In the morning, I stepped over the church gate, my body numb and shivering. These frozen fingers fumbling with flowers, offering a few more words for a name and a grave and a story and life and a brother and a son and a student and a witness and a friend and a life too familiar. Peace in the dearly departed. If I was more prepared, this is where I would ask that we run through a list of far too many names that have been the victims of police brutality at the hands of the British police. Sean Rigg, Mark Duggan, Edson DaCosta, Dalian Atkinson, Sheku Bayo, there's too many names and it's too much and it's too overwhelming for anyone to deal alone. But we are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone in the struggle. We are not alone in seeing what is going on. and disagreeing and standing up and fighting and realizing that there must be a different way. I haven't even talked about climate change and how that is disproportionately affecting black people, people of color across the world. The petrochemical industry, similar to colonialism, is a hang-up that is exploiting and murdering the world, the people, the land, and we are here benefiting from it. We have to fight and say, not in our name. Not in our name. Not one day more. Not one day more we will continue to sit idly back in this apathy that we have here. We need to realize that we stand in solidarity with the people who make our food, who make our clothes, who form the basis of the international working class, instead of the 0.001% of people who own the wealth of the world. They may own the wealth, but they do not own the people. They cannot own you, and they cannot own your soul. You are not alone. We stand together. Do we stand together?